What's up guys, Emmett here with another video. When I did my back testing video last week, which I'll put right here, I got a question asking how to identify my supply and demand levels. So that's what I'm talking about in this video. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and I appreciate you all. What's up guys, back with another video. This video will explain how to identify a supply and demand zone and what makes it valid. Very, very simple, very quick video of what I use every single day in the markets. There's no magic. I don't stray away from this. It's just very simple. Keep your trading simple. Okay, so we'll go ahead and break down this trade here. The VIP actually took about 6 days ago. Probably not from the time I posted this video, but from the time I'm making this video, we took this trade 6 days ago. Okay, so first of all, what makes a supply zone? What makes a demand zone? By the way, demand is in a buy scenario, your down candle. Supply is in a sell scenario, your up candle. Okay, it's the last up candle before the impulsive move down for sells. It is the last impulsive move for the buy up for buys. Very simple. Now, what clarifies this and what every last supply and demand needs to have is a gap. And number two, nothing. It's that fucking simple. All you guys need to do is look for a gap that's sitting underneath or below your zone to make it valid, okay? So what is a gap? A gap is between two price points. So this huge impulsive candle right here, there's no price action traded within it at all, forming a gap in price. Okay, so market has to fill in all of these gaps before continuing higher, before continuing lower, based upon what scenario it is. So like obviously right here, we have a minor gap here. That there was no price traded within this point. We have a bigger gap sitting right here. There was no price traded between these two price points here. It's a gap. There's a gap sitting right here. There was no price action traded between these 2 points. So what happens to these gaps? They get filled one by one by one. But now what do we have here? We have this huge impulsive move up on the 15-minute. Looks a lot cleaner. And so what we need to do is mark out our demand zones, because demand is for buy scenarios that we could potentially profit off of based upon the scenario. So demand, remember to follow our rules. One, we need a gap, and two, that is literally all. So sitting down here, we have this gap, which I'll mark out in red so you guys can kind of see it clear. Let me go ahead and zoom in for you guys. There's a gap sitting right here. So sitting right below it, which is the last down candle before this impulsive move up to this next high, this would be our demand. Simple. Next one here, we have this high that was formed, and then we have an impulsive move all the way up. And look what we have here. We have another gap to be filled, which validates this last down candle before the move up. This is also a demand. And then we have this high here, we have a low here, and then extension coming all the way up. So are we going to mark the zone? No, because there's no gap sitting within the zone here. So this is not a valid demand. All it takes is you guys need a gap to be filled before entering your zone. It's very big to me. Now, could this potentially hold here? Sure. It just doesn't fall more often than not. It doesn't follow my strategy for one, but more often than not, these zones will be invalidated and taken out, coming down to our real demand levels down here. So let's see what happens here. Came down into the zone, starting to get a decent reaction off it, but we've already disrespected it, going completely down into it. We're a pip away from violating it. So this is an invalid trade, and it was invalid in the first place because there's no gap. But then we see this guy gets taken out. We take her off the board. Will we take this zone down here? Well, sure. If we get a reaction from it, we'll take the trade down here. Obviously, there's other confirmations to take the trade, but for purposes of this video, we're just going to stick to reactions off of the zone. So right away, we get a reaction off of the zone sitting right here, nice close. And so it's like, okay, if this previous candle high breaks, we may potentially take this trade, but it just never did. We bled down before moving upwards and we yeeted the zone completely. So it invalidates the trade. We never got our entry. So now we're only waiting for this bottom zone. Okay, comes down into it. What happens here? We get a solid reaction from the zone. So what can we do? Go ahead and buy into the zone here. You can get in aggressive because this is our last demand in this entire sequence going up, which I'm not going to get into that in this video. And see what happens here. Okay, right off the bat, we just continue to fly. Before taking us out, maybe not taking us out, whatever. Be sitting in this forever, dude. Okay, now we can even talk about what is the reason why we reacted right here. So let's bring it on back here, sir, to do a little supply setup. And then I'm going to end this video on that note. So finally take off this demand sitting here. Now, how did we enter this trade? We waited for a demand with a gap sitting above it. So how should we exit this trade or take profits off of it? Same exact thing. Supply with the gap sitting below it. So here's our supply up here. I'll just mark one candle for purpose of the video. And we have a gap sitting right here. Okay, so when it comes up to this point, at the very minimum, we should be putting our stops to break even. If not, we should be taking it all out at that point, which would be a decent R to R, I think. Almost a 1 to 2, whatever. Okay, so as soon as it comes up into there, let's see what happens at this point. Now we just finally tapped into it. And we get a heavy reaction from the zone. Obviously, we are reacting and could potentially melt from this point. So we protect our capital. Capital preservation is everything. And we put our stops to be. We're out of there. Simple. Okay, so that concludes this video on how to identify supply and demand zones. If you guys have any questions, any concerns, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to my channel. I do new videos every single week. Appreciate you all.